has hosted more Final Fours than any in the country. Kansas City, Missouri is the site of our game tonight, as the number 8 Florida Gators are in the Midlands to take on the Kansas State Wildcats. And tonight's theme of the one-on-one, slump busting by these two guys.
That's exactly right. Mike Rosario, the Rutgers transfer, struggled initially in Gainesville, starting to play his best basketball. Rodney Magruder for Kansas State must duplicate the game he had Tuesday night against Texas Southern.
The lineup tonight for Billy Donovan's Florida Gators, a 3-guard group, as Wilbekin, Boynton, and Rosario on the perimeter. Eric Murphy's the Wikipedia definition of the stretch 4. He's outstanding. He can hit threes. And rolled over Wisconsin. K-State's got to give some help tonight to Magruder. Spradling's got to hit shots. Rodriguez has to take care of the ball. Gibson is coming off a double-double in the middle. And Fran Bruce Weber at Kansas State did a great job at Southern Illinois. Longtime assistant, good job at University of Illinois as well. Longtime Gene Cady assistant.
You're right. You look at his record. He's won 321 games already. Relatively young guy. You see the tournament experience, but this guy is heading to the Hall of Fame right here, Billy Donovan.
He has gone to the Elite 8 4 times in the last 7 years, and of course back-to-back national championships. First possession will be Florida's.
Mitch, for Kansas State, they're going to have to be defending ball screens all night long.
And it's the first time they had to do it. Young was open on the slip. Young with 10 to shoot.
That's good defense.
Wilbekin on the floater. Florida's got the first points.
Scotty Wilbekin, he's got that broken finger on his right hand. The amazing thing about him, he's a junior and he's still 19 years old. Very, very young in terms of his maturity as a player.
K-State answers, and they get a bonus basket from Shane Southwell.
Well, Bruce Weber started him Tuesday night against Texas Southern. He gives him an extra ball handler, and he's playing the stretch 4, so he's not that much of a mismatch.
Fran, both of these teams take pride in their defense. What makes them so good?
Well, you know what? Toughness, first of all. They rebound the basketball. They don't give the lane up very easily off the dribble.
Florida is the nation's best team in scoring defense, while K-State's perimeter defense is 3rd in the country. And Spradling hits a shot, a great sign for K-State to knock down its first 2 shots.
Really is. Good motion offense, good screen. Spradling didn't hesitate. Put that ball up quickly.
He has fought some confidence. Dating back to last year, 11 out of his last 34 coming into the game tonight. Wilbekin trying to create, goes with the offhand. Southwell testing fake. And here comes the lightning fast Kenny Boynton to the other end. He's fouled by Southwell.
I'll tell you what, Kenny Boynton initiated that contact. Southwell looked like he went vertical on this, but you got to like what Boynton did. Take a look. Oh, that's a good block right there. Now Boynton's trying to get body, but he doesn't. And Southwell makes a heck of a block. They call it a foul. Bad break for Shane Southwell.
And Boynton, outstanding free throw shooter, Fran. He's 89%. That's only his 5th miss of the season. And what about it? He has put up 800 threes in his career.
Well, from the moment he's gotten here, Billy Donovan has given him a lot of leeway. He's like a home run hitter, Mitch. He's going to go through stretches where he knocks a lot of threes down, and he's going to go on a schneid like he is right now. 3 for his last 27 in the last 4 games. But he's like Josh Hamilton. You got to stay with him because he can make him in a bunch.
Florida outstanding in their pressure defense. How many different looks will they give K-State tonight?
Well, they'll press, they'll play man, they'll play zone, various presses, full court, 3/4 court.
Shot clock at 8. Magruder gets a lot of attention. And good defense by Patrick Young at the rim. You get underneath. This would be an offensive foul. You get called for the hook.
Well, you get that right to the rim and try to establish. They did a good job of looking inside. Watch you get now. Yeah, he's got Rodriguez in there. There's that full court pressure you talked about. Now it starts out man to man, and when they can come double like right there, now it becomes a zone press.
K-State's handled it twice. 4-3 lead for the Wildcats. Magruder strong curl, and he gets fouled. It's going to be on Wilbekin of Florida.
Rodney Magruder, Mitch, went 1 for 9 against Gonzaga last Saturday night. I chronicled it. The screening wasn't very good. They didn't really get him open. Tuesday night, much better. 12 field goals, all inside the lane.
Magruder missing, but Gibson working inside. K-State is the #1 offensive rebounding team in the country. And one of the more exciting plays tonight are going to be missed shots.
Well, both teams rebound the ball at over 40%, which means that almost half the shots they take, they have a good opportunity to get the ball back. And for Kansas State, it's particularly critical because they don't score easily on the initial set.
They call it a held ball, and K-State has the arrow, so they'll get an underneath inbounds. And a walk. Southwell turned it over. He was trying to get it to Gibson inside.
Shane Southwell has got to keep the game simple right now. He's getting an opportunity to start because he's a jack of all trades. He doesn't need to worry about offense, but do the little things like move the ball, play good defense.
Boynton and a turnover. And one of the more underrated things about Florida is getting back on defense, and Spradling hits a three.
What you like about that is excellent ball screen that time. Excuse me. Screen for Spradling coming off.
You get strong to the basket. Affected by Gibson. Magruder trails. And a timeout. Billy Donovan wants a timeout. This is a team called timeout. K-State leading 7-3. Mitch Holtz is back with Fran Fraschilla in Kansas City. Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers. Kansas State, an excellent start here against an outstanding Florida team that could unseat Kentucky this year in the SEC.
They played very good defense. They're also doing a reasonably good job of moving the ball in their motion offense. That last basket for Spradling came off a terrific down screen.
K-State will show a little 90-foot defense here as Spradling will shadow Wilbekin up the floor. And a three hit by Murphy, and that's what he does so very well.
Well, he stretches your defense without question because of his ability to shoot that three.
And now Florida gets a steal off their press. Boynton 5 quick and answered points for Florida.
Billy Donovan is like a pitcher with a lot of weapons. He's got a fastball, the curveball, the full court pressure is like the changeup.
Well, K-State handled it twice. Great delivery by Rodriguez. And Jordan Henriquez cannot handle the pass. Foul on Spradling. So Florida now, a sign of a great team. They have kind of a rocky start, down 7-3. In a matter of seconds, they flipped the game.
Well, this is an experienced team, Mitch. When you think about it, 85% of their scoring comes from juniors and seniors. All of these guys have been around. Most of them have played in 2 Elite Eight games. And so you're exactly right. They have turned it on after a slow start.
And to your point, you see all these upperclassmen, led by Boynton and Murphy in his senior-laden squad. And last year, so close. You mentioned the 2 Elite Eight games. They lose to Butler and Louisville in tough Elite Eight losses. And they were so close to getting to the Final Four the last 2 years.
Now take a look at this, Mitch. We've talked about Florida being a big pick and roll team. Now, the reason you pick and roll with Patrick Young is because you get him on the run to the rim with an opportunity not to be doubled. But the beauty of Florida's continuous pick and roll motion is that you're making defenders guard the screen and roll numerous times. Mark Lyons, the guard, has to take Young at the rim. That leaves Scotty Wilbekin open behind. So it's a great inside-out offense, because if you don't guard the roll man to the rim, you're going to give up a layup. And if you guard him to the rim, you're going to open up those threes behind.
So it is a pick and roll continuity kind of hybrid, because many times you'll see a team set one pick and roll, either a side or a top, and then that's it.
Well, the reason the teams run good pick and roll is it creates momentary indecision at the point of the screen as to whether to switch, whether to stay, whether to hedge and get back, how long do you stay, and in creating that indecision puts an awful lot of pressure on 5 players on defense, because it's not just the man with the ball or the screener, it's those other 3 guys who can get open behind it.
A lot of teams will have a philosophy of switching 1 through 4, let's say, on ball screens. But against this, I mean, you're going to be careful with that principle. You end up with a little on a big.
You made a great point, because one of the things Eric Murphy has worked on this year is his post-up game, because so many teams were switching a guard onto him because he was never a threat to post up inside. So let's watch for that tonight.
15:02 left to go in the first half, and Florida well, welcome to the city that has hosted more Final Fours than any in the country. Kansas City, Missouri, and the number 8 Florida Gators against K-State. Mitch Holthus with you along with Fran Fraschilla. K-State, Fran, got off to a 7-3 start, but Florida has controlled the game since then.
Billy Donovan took an early timeout. They've thrown some full court pressure at the Wildcats. It's worked. They've got the game sped up.
All right, Florida currently up 10-7 over K-State.
They like to play multiple defenses and different looks.
The press did not hurt K-State early, but in the last couple of minutes, it has bothered the Wildcats.
Now they go to the zone. First time we've seen zone tonight. This is like Greg Maddox pitching. Billy Donovan has a lot of different pitches he can throw at the offense.
How much pressure does that put on Angel Rodriguez and these guards to recognize?
Well, it's not only that, but it takes a lot of practice time. You got to work on a multiple set of defenses. I like that. That's where Rodney McGruder does his best work, around the basket. Yes, he can shoot threes, but he's a power guard.
McGruder, a preseason all Big 12 first teamer, coming off his season high of 26 on Tuesday night. Young, strong, but Henriquez there for K-State. Southwell, not a shot, not a rhythm. He's improved from 3, and then Wilbekin trying to answer.
This kid Frazier, the freshman, can really heat it up. You saw him get 20 against Marquette.
The top 100 recruit for Billy Donovan.
Said 20, it was 17, but he was on fire.
And Henriquez bumping. Well, where does Florida go to sleep on the zone?
Well, what you want to do is attack from behind. That's exactly what they do with Roddy Magruder. Watch him work behind the front line of Florida. Does a really nice job. You got to turn your head on the back line of that zone. Don't be afraid to make sure you know who's behind you.
So was that Murphy? Should have slid over, or did?
No, I think Young should have picked him up. Young was in the middle right there. There's nothing wrong with being a head turner at the back of that zone.
Kenny Boynton, one of the real veterans of the SEC, and a follow dunk by Patrick Young.
Billy Donovan benched Patrick Young for the start of the Marquette game. It was a good wake-up call for him. See, this pressure has sped Kansas State up right now. They're playing too quickly.
The freshman DJ Johnson. And underneath, and it is survival of the fittest down there now. And a foul on K-State.
Well, we mentioned both of these teams really good offensive rebounding teams. Nobody checks out Patrick Young. He gets a running start to the rim. Again, Florida rebounds over 40% of their misses.
Young, 7 career double-doubles. He had a double-double in that Marquette game you were talking about.
That was his wake-up call.
I mean, these guys have wiped out some teams. There's a walk on you get. They blew out Wisconsin. They blow out Marquette. They blow out Florida State in Tallahassee.
We talked to Billy Donovan today, and he felt really good about the way his team played at Arizona, minus the last minute of the first half and the last minute of the second half. They gave away that 6 or 7 point lead.
They just evaporated in the last minute of that game. Spradling on the press break. Nino Williams, a bonus 2 for K-State.
Really like this kid. Former Mr. Basketball in Kansas. They tried to make him a perimeter player when he first got to Kansas State, but what he is, he's tough, he's hard-nosed, he'll go get the ball.
Prather on the drive. Casey Prather gets his first 2 for Florida. And the Gators back to a 3-point lead in the made basket. Lets the Gators set up the press.
Well, and what you have to do here if you're Kansas State is once you beat this pressure, you don't have to play fast in the half court. See, they've got it over right now. Now run some offense with some patience. Staying in that zone.
Spradling is zone buster. Rodriguez can hit from the perimeter. Spradling's got the field tonight. He has struggled at times late last year and this year, but tonight he's got 8 early.
You know what you love about that? It went inside to Magruder. He knew where Spradling was.
K-State staying in front of Florida. Defensively, Prather, his 2nd straight drive.
A great possession defensively. They go into those multiple pick and rolls.
Rodriguez takes the cup to the rim, and he gets fouled. But K-State off to a good start. Number 8, Florida, tied in Kansas City. Tonight, as K-State and number 8, Florida tied at 14 at 10:51 left to go in the first half. Mitch Holtis with you along with Fran Fraschilla. It's a Kansas City kid that's keeping K-State with Florida tonight so far.
It's really important for Will Spradling to do what he's doing because there's so much pressure on Roddy Magruder to be the go-to scorer every night that he's got to get some help, and he's gotten it early from Will Spradling. Good, not unbelievable shooter, but at 37%, the closest thing to a marksman for Bruce Weber. But what you love about Spradling, he plays with poise. He's always in the right place at the right time. This guy hasn't missed a free throw this year either. 20 for 20.
And again, it bears repeating. He really struggled. He was 5 of 25 from 3 to end last year going into the NCAA tournament. And this year, coming into tonight, he was 6 of his last 21 from 3.
You know, it's funny, I wrote on my note card, good but streaky shooter. Because when he releases the ball, you think it's going in, but he's never been so consistently solid that you think You know, we're not thinking Steve Henson here, you know, but certainly a really quality player.
Angel Rodriguez splits the pair. He is so key to K-State this year. In Florida, let's be honest, last Saturday night in Tucson, I mean, they melted down in that last minute. They're kind of trying to get their mojo back.
No, I think you're right. And what hangs over their head, as you mentioned earlier, was not that they lost the game, but they've lost some key games the last couple of years, those 2 Elite Eight games, by melting down.
Rosario. And K-State with a really good start here defensively.
We've talked about how much pressure the pick and roll continuity puts on your defense, but K-State to this point has been like 5 fingers in a glove. They've been very, very solid.
Press break. Williams decides to attack. Spradling. He missed the tip, but Gibson didn't.
What I love about that is take advantage of the numbers, which they did, because they were able to control the offensive glass before Florida set up.
You had K-State last Saturday against Gonzaga in Seattle. How much more confidence are they playing with tonight than a week ago?
Well, they were good defensively in the first half. They struggled to score all night. Tonight so far, I like the ball movement. I like the fact that guys are not hesitating when the shot is there.
Against a great Florida defensive team, and the Gators force a turnover. This is the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic in Honolulu. Indiana State gets a giant win. They upset Ole Miss, and San Diego State, one of the powerful team in a powerful league this year in the Mountain West. K-State won this tournament last year when they beat a good Long Beach State team in the finals, and Butler won it 2 years ago.
And that aforementioned Arizona team we've talked about is the favorite out there.
Young gets the roll.
Patrick Young, a high school All-American. They've really wanted him to be a go-to scorer, but that's not what his makeup is.
Florida bothering Irving here. Bruce Weber throws a floaty to him. They'll reset it. K-State leads by 1. The number 8 Florida Gators trailing K-State 17-16. An alert timeout by Bruce Weber on the K-State bench.
Well, 29 seconds on the clock. You know, the debate here amongst guys who follow the rules is, why give the offense 10 more seconds? That's the way the rule is. It sort of punishes the defense, but I don't mind it because Bruce Weber had to burn a timeout in the backcourt.
He does have his use it or lose it. Now they leave Gibson open on the press break. An excellent basket defense and recovery by the Gators.
That's what we mean when we say Gibson's a below-the-rim guy. He just didn't get off his feet quick enough.
The extra pass, and Boynton uses the glass, and Florida's got the lead.
That was an excellent possession because they took that ball side to side a number of times before Boynton was able to get in to the crease of that defense.
And Irving gets bailed out here by Prather.
Thomas Gibson's got to explode off his feet a little quicker. Now right here, watch how long it takes to gather. And a terrific hustle play by Patrick Young.
Young had 6 blocks in an earlier game this year. And you see his numbers. Everybody keeps asking me, can Florida unseat Kentucky, not only in the SEC, but can they win a national championship?
Well, in November, I picked them to go to the Final Four because this is a team whose whole is greater than the sum of the parts. They have very good players. In my mind, no great player, but 7 or 8 guys deep. They play them all. They're all capable of doing different things to help you win big.
Another foul on the Gators. Now, you talk about the sum of the parts here. This is one of the more balanced teams in the country.
No, exactly. And it's not just their scoring balance, but you have guys that can defend. You have guys that can rebound. You have guys that are ball movers. It's a very, very good basketball team.
Rodriguez back in the game. They tried to rest him, and Martavius Irving struggled with the pressure, so Rodriguez right back in there. 20 to shoot, and Rodriguez tosses it up there anyway.
Don't think Angel Rodriguez hasn't thought about the fact that he's playing against his home state. Played his high school ball in Miami.
At Crop High School with the Gators leading here by 1. K-State's playing well. K-State's got a great tradition of playing holiday basketball in Kansas City and overall. In fact, they've played her since 1926 at the gorgeous Sprint Center. Playing tonight, they didn't play 1926 at the Sprint Center. But K-State's been to 4 Final Fours, Fran. 3 of those were in Kansas City.
2 of them coached by the legendary Jack Gardner, and 2 more by the legendary Tex Winter. This school has such a great history of outstanding coaches. When you think of guys like Cotton Fitzsimmons and Jack Hartman, who coached Orlando Blackman, and Tim Jankovic, Ed Neely, that team in '81 that almost got to the Final Four. Of course, Lon Kruger not only was an outstanding player here, Big 8 Player of the Year twice, coached a team to the Elite 8, almost to the Final Four. And by the way,
that was the last Final Four.
But he took Florida to the Final Four in '94.
It's the Lon Kruger Bowl right here. Wilbekin splits a pair at the line. And Florida's got a 2-point lead.
Yeah, Scotty Wilbekin's one of the unsung players in the country, in my opinion. Only 19 years old, and he's a junior. He enrolled at Florida as a 17-year-old, graduated early because Billy Donovan needed backcourt help.
Fran, this is the day and age of a kid going to prep school. Then he may redshirt, who knows? He's playing against 22 and 23-year-olds. It's Bradley, a contested 3.
Hey, hometown boy comes home playing pretty well, but he's capable of that. He's very poised. Good help on those pick and rolls tonight.
Boynton trying to answer 3 for 3. Just 29% from 3. Last year he shot 41% from bonus distance for the Gators. When you talk about bodies banging in here, that's Young and Gibson. That's a study in physics.
This is what I mean by Thomas Gibson being a below the rim post player. It's not that, that's not a criticism, but what he's got to do is he's got to get angles to the rim. He's also got to get the defender in the air so that, and you know why? Because if you watch him play, you think you can block his shot.
Kid out of Cedar Hill, Texas. Now this has been the problem for K-State really the last couple of years. They have been one of the nation's top teams in getting to the line, Fran, but making it has been a different story. And Gibson this year is 51%.
Take a look at Thomas Gibson now. This is what we mean by a below the rim guy. Fake, fake, there it is. 2 free throws. He's not going to jump over Patrick Young, so he's going to use a little bit of guile to get him in the air.
We'll mention both these guys' power, but Gibson is not unskilled.
No, he's not. Played for a very good high school coach, the late David Milson. Mom and dad educators. Comes out of a storied program at Cedar Hill.
K-State's 2 early signees are out of Texas, Wichita Falls and Houston. That was going to be an area of emphasis in recruiting for Bruce Weber and his staff.
Well, it should be, because you're talking to a guy who thinks Texas high school basketball is as good as there is right now. Billy Donovan recruiting Julius Randle along with Kansas and Kentucky, Oklahoma.
Rosario off the ball fake.
Well, Kansas's defense has been pretty good, but so has Kansas State's defense. But so has Florida's. Both teams playing well defensively.
Again, Florida is the nation's leading team, and there's a foul on you again. Hey, you got a heck of a game coming up Thursday. Don't go to sleep on this game. New Mexico lost today. They had been previously unbeaten. South Dakota State upset Steve Alford's Lobos, but Cincinnati is also, they're undefeated. They're the 11th ranked Bearcats. Now, some big news today. Look at that second item. That's a huge upset, along with Syracuse losing at Temple.
Now, South Dakota State, the Jacks, Scott Nagy's crew, they had to bus all the way to Albuquerque from Nashville. Yeah, what, Nashville or Knoxville, I think. Nashville. Because they played Belmont. That's what it was. And they must have made a couple stops at Waffle Houses along the way. Golden Corral here or there. And Nate Walters, if you haven't seen Nate Walters, another big performance today for the Jacks.
South Dakota State out of the Summit spoils the party for Steve Alford, but look for the Lobos to come back. That'd be a heck of a game against Cincinnati. And K-State up by 5, their biggest lead of the first half. Boynton, the veteran. And it's going to be a foul on K-State. On Southwell, his second.
We've mentioned both of these teams, terrific offensive rebounding teams. A lot of bodies flying around.
The Gators yet not in the 1-1 at the 5:50 mark of the first half. SEC is going to be fun to follow this year. Everybody waiting for Kentucky to get going with all those young guys. Missouri. The new SEC team against Florida. They play twice, once in January, once in February. Those were tasty games.
I talked to Frank Haith last year, and he was telling me about his transfers of recruits, and he felt like this team may be as talented or more talented. Another solid defensive possession right now.
Let's see how Irving does at the point with Rodriguez in foul trouble. Spragley's got the field tonight. Nino Williams. K-State relentless on the boards. They're number 1 in the nation. An offensive rebound. Murphy for 3.
Boy, they have Florida sped up right now. Nothing in rhythm for the Gators.
Magruder strong in the lane. That's 4 for Magruder. And K-State up by 7.
It's harder for Rodney Magruder. It wears you out when you run motion. But when you run it well, it creates easy opportunities for him.
Big crowd tonight here at Sprint Center. Frazier, a 2. He's got a toe on the line. No, they'll give him a 3. Michael Frazier, the second.
Young man out of Tampa. He played his prep school ball at Montverde over in the Orlando area. Very good high school program. Can really light it up.
He had 5 threes against Marquette.
So you watch the motion now. Are they screening for Magruder?
Irving strong to the basket. Young's there to affect it. And K-State touches it last. K-State leads number 8 Florida by 4 in Kansas City. All right, thanks, Chris. Kansas, a nice win for the Big 12 today. Winning on the road at Columbus. The Jayhawks playing so very well, and K-State's doing the same here tonight against the number 8 Florida Gators.
Little token pressure. They'll go back to man-to-man. I don't think Kansas State's played a possession of zone this year in the half court. At least I couldn't tell on any tape I've watched.
Boynton defended at the rim. A short corner shot for Nino Williams. Everybody contributing tonight for K-State.
And that takes a lot of pressure off of Rodney Magruder, as we talked about. Spradling's been on fire. Nino Williams chipping in.
Murphy hit the early 3. Quiet since then.
Let's see if they can get good ball movement. If I were Kansas State right now, I would screen, 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 screen.
Irving, and he nails his first points of the night.
And you know where he's from. State of Florida, Fort Lauderdale.
How about his high school? Mitch Richmond's high school.
Absolutely, Boyd Anderson.
Biggest lead of the game, Fran, for K-State. They're up by 8 on the 8th-ranked team in the country. But Florida's got tough kids and a tough coach. They're used to this.
Biggest thing for K-State tonight is they're scoring efficiently.
Young, travel. Rick Hartzell with the call.
Take a look at this, Mitch. Watch this possession. Rodney Magruder. He's going to move. Gibson sees him, goes and headhunts his man. Magruder curls into the lane, and he scored every basket against Texas Southern. He ended up with 26, all 12 field goals inside the lane.
K-State, Fran, I want to ask you about this. Since Rodriguez went to the bench in foul trouble, they're on 11-4 runs, actually 13-3 runs since then. And there's a greater good to that, isn't there, I mean, as the season goes on?
Well, exactly. I think the one greater good is that they're playing without him and playing well.
Williams. This is a push-off on Magruder. And that will put the Gators into the 1-1.
You know, I thought that Kansas State would be able to play solid defense because they are a really good defense and rebounding team to this point in the season. Gonzaga notwithstanding, in those late threes Texas Southern hit the other night. But I've been more impressed with the fact that they have, for the most part, been very deliberate and patient on offense and then played fast when they needed to.
Well, I watched your game last week at the K-State Gonzaga. You mentioned in front of the 1-on-1 missed by Rosario. They're getting shooters shots tonight. They're getting the right guys, the right shots at the right place.
Exactly. And if you're a guy like Nino Williams or Jordan Henriquez, your job should be to get those shooters open.
And Florida's so good defensively. They've held 6 of the 9 opponents this year under 50. Not under 60, under 50. That's a bonus, too.
Well, this is a guy that finished last season on such a roll that NBA teams are starting to take notice. He has not played well early, but he's capable, Henriquez.
He had 17 rebounds in the NCAAs against Syracuse. Rosario trying to get going. I didn't expect K-State to be up double digits with a minute to go in the first half.
No, you know, as I said, I thought they could defend. I just didn't know if they could score.
Moving screen on Nino Williams.
You know, as a coach, I know this sounds crazy. I wouldn't mind that because Nino Williams ought to be screening all night long into tomorrow morning. Now, he's got to come to a stop right there, but the intent was good. The execution, not so good.
That wasn't a screen. That was a pulling guard on a running play.
He might be on that charter to the Fiesta Bowl.
K-State, of course.
What a season Bill Snyder had, huh?
And now, K-State slips into the cookie jar. Florida goes to sleep. That's what Florida usually does to the other team.
Well, remember, not just at the end of the game against Arizona, they gave away 8 points at the end of the first half in that game. Pray just slipped out of Prather's hands.
Double jeopardy. Turnover by Prather. And his third foul. And Billy Donovan gives an earful to Rick Hartzell. But you mentioned Bill Snyder's incredible football team this year. Big 12 champions. Fiesta Bowl against Oregon. If you take football, men's basketball, and women's basketball, only Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Louisville have a better winning percentage than Kansas State.
That's pretty good. Deb Patterson's had some really good teams through the years in Manhattan.
It's going to be 2 shots for Magruder.
This is a young man that is a D.C. native, but he finished his high school career in Florida, so at Arlington Country Day in Jacksonville.
And K-State's previous coach, Frank Martin, now at South Carolina. Of course, a longtime high school coach in Miami. So a lot of these guys recruited by Frank Martin with those Florida connections.
You know what you love about Rodney Magruder? He never says a word. He just plays.
11-point Kansas State lead.
Little token pressure. They go back to man.
Frazier. Rosario trails. Young has been a stud. He gets fouled underneath by Williams.
Florida not making any threes in part, Mitch, because Kansas State doing a terrific job rotating and challenging shots.
And to your point, Fran, K-State is third in the nation in three-point percentage defense. The teams are only shooting about 25% against them this year, and that includes the games against Michigan and Gonzaga when you factor in the stats.
And the interesting thing, Mitch, is when you guard as many pick and rolls as you have to when you play Florida, you get your team out of sorts a little bit, and the only way to get back to shooters is to scramble out and fly at them, and they're doing a good job of that.
Young has 5 for the Gators, and he's been their leading rebounder. So no shot clock, 30.3 remaining in the half. Young, as a freshman, shot 70%. He has fallen off that since his first year.
Now, as a coach, this is really crucial. You must get the last shot of the half. Unless you get a point-blank layup, do not give Florida a chance to get this lead under 10. Well, they're trying to get it to Spradling. They couldn't do it.
We got to go. 5 seconds. They find him now. Spradling gets fouled. No, they do not call it. Rick Hartzell doesn't call it. I thought I heard a whistle. No call to end the half.
Well, I think Spradling ended up having to pass the ball, but there certainly looked like contact there. If it's a foul at the last second of the half, it's just as much a foul as if it happened earlier or middle of the game. Let's take a look now. See, the defender is going to challenge. Watch Wilbekin. Well, that's a foul. I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be a foul. There's too much contact. That is not a play on.
Well, at halftime, a shocker here in Kansas City as K-State leads number 8 Florida 33-23. Let's go to the studio. Chris Cotter and Stephen Bordeaux.